So approximately 4.26 billion people on this planet are email users, and they are sending 293 emails to each other every single day. Oh my gosh. How do you stand out when you are writing to a recruiter or a hiring manager or anyone else during the course of your career transition without appearing desperate, without the cringe, and actually getting a response, even if you don't like writing emails and even if English is not your second, third, fourth language? And stick to the end, because I'm going to share one thing that you can do to supercharge your emails and definitely get that response that you are looking for. Coming right up. Hey there, welcome back to Supercharge. My name is Sonal Bahl, former HR director and career strategist. And in this channel, we share practical tips that help you with that competitive edge to stand out. So you get that dream job, get promoted, and lead a richer, happier, and more purposeful life. If that is what you're about, you just gotta hit subscribe. Just close your eyes and do it. And don't forget that bell icon so you know when I'm live and when I have other videos. So what's the purpose of emails? They're essentially to communicate something to someone so they do what you want. It's quite simple, right? And I want to bust a few myths right away that exist when it comes to sending emails. Myth number one, that every cold email is a spam email. And that's not necessarily true. Well, it could be true if it's not properly targeted, if it's not personalized, because then it's like you've written to everyone else the exact same sort of, words and, the language that you've used. That can come across as disruptive and intrusive, and it will be considered spam. However, if it's a cold email and it's crafted with care so that the person feels like, wow, this person really knows me, they've done their homework on me, and even if it's the first time they're hearing about you, that is actually brilliant. So don't worry if you're writing to someone for the first time and they're going to think you're spammy. Don't be spammy. Do your homework on the person you're writing an email to. The second myth is that to write good emails in English, you need to be a native English speaker and you need to have amazing writing skills. I don't quite agree. The skill that you want to master is converting your thoughts into words. And you can do that with the right set of words, nouns, adjectives. You can put that all together. It's not a difficult skill to acquire. And they work better than other words. So you put all of those ideas together, make sense in a sentence. Honestly, anyone can do it. And if I could do it living in South America, where I was doing all these emails in Spanish to native Spanish speakers, and if you're listening to me and you're understanding me, your English is already better than what my Spanish was when I started learning the language back in 2005. The third myth is when it comes to emails, timing doesn't really matter. Now, according to Grammarly, this is quite interesting. They say what matters is the time zone of the recipient. And the other thing that matters is the days of the week. Apparently, Tuesday and Thursday are great days to send an email and actually get some response and outcome from it, which if you think about it, kind of makes sense, right? So Monday, Friday can be tricky. Monday is the start of the week. People are not necessarily in a mood to attack their inbox. There's already, a big flood in there. Friday is just before, the weekend, and that explains why Monday a lot of people are not in a great mood. So you're left with sort of Tuesday and Thursday in the middle. So if you're writing to someone and it's an important email, maybe think about timing it in such a way that it's Tuesday or Thursday. Now let's talk about the ingredients of effective emails. There are 4. And trust me, I know you're going to think they're really obvious and common sense, but common sense is not common practice, because if everyone were practicing it, everyone would be pretty successful. What are those 4 ingredients? The intro, the body, the conclusion, and the subject. Let's start with the subject. I want you to go and look at your inbox and look at all those unread emails. Other than the fact that maybe it's a recipient you don't know, check out the subject lines. If the subject line doesn't intrigue you, doesn't make you want to open the email, and it's a bit dull, think exactly like the recipient who's going to be receiving your email. I personally like emails where the subject tells me what they want me to do, right? So for example, let's say I'm a hiring manager and I work at Grammarly. So the subject could say something like, product manager position at Grammarly, your thoughts. Got me curious. I want to open it. What you want to avoid in the subject is writing something like hello, hi, or leaving it blank. Don't even think about it. So make the subject relevant to what you want them to do, and I think with that you should be good. The next thing is the intro in our ingredients. Now, what I recommend you do in the intro is you already get to the point and don't beat about the bush, because most people don't have patience or time, and not everyone reads every word of every email, right? Let's face it, a lot of us skim and do a lot of speed reading. So in the intro, immediately say who you are and what do you want. Who you are and what do you want. So the body will talk more about why are you writing to them, why now, and why you. Why you, why them, why now. That will be in the body. And finally, in the conclusion, you want to have a call to action or a CTA that is confirming what was already at the beginning in the intro, but repetition is good. Trust me, a little bit of refreshing the memory and leaving it on that note is gonna be the last thing they remember when they close the inbox. So in the conclusion, what you want is a call to action and you want to thank them, right? Call to action and you want to thank them. And finally, the last thing in the email in terms of ingredients is, of course, your signature. And I have people telling me that I don't work in a company right now. I'm between jobs. So my signature is usually my position in the company. So what? Not necessary that only employed people can have a signature. So in the signature, I want you to have three things. Obviously, your name, your phone number, your email address. Phone number is, I think, optional, but I think it's good, if they want to contact you, that is one way they can do that. Email address, even though your email was just, trust me, make it easy for them. And the third thing is LinkedIn URL. So they can see a little bit more about your background if they're interested, if you have a website, all of that in the signature. So subject, intro, body, conclusion, with that and a nice juicy signature, you have the ingredients of a very good email. Now, I also want to talk about some very common mistakes that a lot of us make without realizing. The very first one is me, me, me. The whole focus is all about you, how they can help you, and it's, nothing to do with them as such, because you're immediately going in and you're making the ask, and in the body, it's not why you, why them, why now. It's only why you, why you, why you. Don't why you. Don't be that person. Those are the kind of emails that are sent without ever hearing back. And one of the easiest ways that you can do that is check your email. How many times do you use the word you and how many times do you use the word I or me? You'll have an idea if the balance is off, because you want it to be a decent balance and you want it to be more about them, not so much about you, even if you want something from them. People tend to gravitate more towards people who are interested in them and who are curious about them, as opposed to, hey, how are you, Sonal? So, I was thinking of you the other day. I need a little bit of help from you. And it's like, I need. So you want a little bit warm into it. Yes, you need their help, but you also want to inquire how they're doing. And a tiny amount of small talk, even if it's like a sentence or two, you want to warm into it, as opposed to getting, especially if it's a cold contact or it's someone that you haven't been in touch with for the longest time. The second mistake, which is unbelievably common, is at the end of the email, not writing any call to action whatsoever. It's like, I have a problem. I explain the problem in detail. Why me? Why you? Why now? What do you want them to do? Make that ask very simple, both in the intro and in the conclusion, maybe even in the subject line. So there is no doubt as to what you expect from them. So help them to help you. Sound like Jerry Maguire. The third mistake, which is unbelievably common, is when people are a little too formal or a little too informal in their email writing style. And I think both can be a bit tricky. If you're too formal and you already have some rapport or some relationship with the person, may come across as a bit strange. And if you're too informal and you're unfamiliar and you're maybe using a sense of humor and they don't quite get it, that can be a bit dangerous as well. So the lowest common denominator in terms of playing it safe is to keep it, warm, not too warm, chilled out, cool, but not too cool. And the more you practice sending these emails, the more you're going to have an idea, because you're going to see what your response rate looks like. And the final mistake that I think people make is errors. So basic errors, sometimes spelling mistakes, and you might be like, oh, how does it matter? Well, I would say it matters, and it would definitely matter to someone who doesn't know you. And let's say they are a little stickler for perfection, and they like things done a certain way, and those little finishing touches matter to them. In certain professions, they do. So you might tick them off, or you might not. They may not care. But I want you to play it safe. So always read 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Use some software like Grammarly or anything like that. This is not a sponsored video. That way you can ensure that everything is kosher, everything is hunky-dory, and then this email can be sent out. Now, if you struggle with writing emails and you need a little bit of help, check out the description box of this video. I have created a guide specially for people so that they don't have to think and start from scratch every single time. There's 18 different scenarios in terms of job search, whether it's asking for a referral, whether it's asking for a LinkedIn recommendation, whether it's asking for an introduction to the hiring manager, executive recruiter, internal recruiter, external recruiter, all of it. How do you follow up? They haven't written back to you. All of that. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. Now I want to talk to you about the little snippet that I said in the beginning, one thing that you can do to drastically improve your response rate. And that is give them an out right at the beginning. So basically what you're saying is, I'd love your help. However, if this is something that's not possible for you right now, or if this is something that you are not able to do, I will completely understand, and thank you so much for taking the time. This is a very clever strategy, and it's going to do 2 things. What? Number 1, it removes any form of awkwardness whatsoever, whether it's for you or for them, because you've addressed that objection up front. So if they don't reply, it's already taken care of, because you've spelled it out. You've put it out in the open. The second thing it does is, by spelling it out so clearly, it actually increases the chance of getting a response, because people feel like, hey, why did they say, if I can't help, I will help? So it's a little bit of reverse psychology in there. And I talked about this with my brilliant podcast guest, Bob Berg. I'm going to link that episode right here in the description box. So definitely check that out. So if you watched till the very end, tell me your experience with emails. I want you to write the sentence in the comments. Emails are my friends. Emails are my friends. Thank you so much for watching. You keep doing what you're doing. Keep believing. Keep dreaming. Keep supercharging. You got this.